Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. There's something so dear to my heart is the deterioration of the Liberian legislature, especially the House of Representatives. So the topic tonight is, what do we do with a deteriorating legislature? We are aware of the many problems and the things that we see in our national legislature, rendering it a little bit incapable or unwilling to be the check on other branches of government. So tonight, we want to look first, can we do something about it, or can we do nothing? Are we helpless? Let's look at some of the problems, some of the issues that have plagued the national legislature for some time now. Example, the signing of bogus contracts and concession agreements, taking of ungodly salaries and benefits, appropriating or approving ungodly salaries and benefits also for others. In that you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So you could hear somebody say, I have 10,000 salary, 7,000 in, they call another one cash benefits. I have 5,000 in housing and all that. The failure to hold the executive accountable, and sometimes they will accept apology for crimes being committed by members of the executive. Some will say, I take the blame for it, so you forgive me. They also manipulate the budget for self-aggrandizement. You heard the revelation from Jonathan Fonati Kofa that they meet somewhere in a hotel and they divided. Those could be the kicks of a dying bull, but there's some truth to it. The culture of brown envelopes in the legislature. A complete deterioration resulted into the burning of the joint chambers, the total chaos, the breakdown of law and order, using the power of the purse. So this time now, even the people, because you have to bow to them, they have so much money, so not much is being done. So I call that a deteriorating legislature. What can we do? Can we do something or not? This is what we're going to be discussing tonight. Let me welcome Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, author and neo-progressive commentator. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. It's a pleasure, Mr. Jah. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. Thank you for having me. And I want to say hi to my fellow panelists and all of the viewers and listeners out there. I'm looking forward to a good show tonight. And thank you.
Let me also welcome FOL political analyst, Mr. J. Victor Nambert. Mr. Nambert, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dennis. Thanks for the invite. It's good to be here. What's up, fellows?
And, what can we do without the pastors? Let's welcome the senior pastor of One Family Christian Center, Pastor S.T. Salif. Welcome, sir. He's also a sustainable development coach.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a privilege to be here, not a right, and we take this very seriously to inform, educate, and galvanize our people to, do the right thing. And everyone following the program from wherever you are, from whatever social media network you're joining, welcome to the show tonight. We're looking forward to a healthy debate. And we hope some of our colleagues, panelists who are still on their way from work can join us in time so we can do justice to this great topic on our review tonight.
Thank you. Let me see if we have Mr. Mohammed Sharif, who is joining us all the way from Asia. Mr. Sharif, are you there? It's around maybe like 3 a.m. where he is, so we may be having problems. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Every Friday, we want you to join us for Friday night debate. Oh, gentlemen, I want us to start the discussion on the Liberian legislature. For a long time, we have cried, we've whined about it, and sometimes I don't want us to feel helpless. So tonight, I want to have the start of a conversation. It may seem impossible, it may seem hard to do, but the attempt here is to begin the discussion so that other Liberians can follow suit, and we start to brainstorm as to what to do with a deteriorating legislature. Mr. Nabe, can we do something?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of options available to us, Dennis. Probably the most difficult one would be to educate our electorate so that we all understand that elections have consequences. You have to think very seriously about the person you're voting into office. The legislature usually they canvass, they in some cases the remotest of areas, where people may not really understand the issues well. So they need to understand what the issues are and who has the capacity to deliver on those issues. Two, most of our rural areas, yeah, there are some legislators who come from the metropolitan areas. I get that, but for a majority of our people, our people in the far and removed from metropolitan areas, their understanding of the issues, need a little bit of help. And then also, our people also have to understand or develop the capacity to study the character of people who are coming to them to canvass. Some of these people never visit these areas until it is election season. Our people, in most instances, they don't know the people. They come around maybe 12 months to elections, put it well down, or spruce up the market hall or something aesthetic, and our people put them in the office. And then once they win that seat, some hardly go back there. So that also needs a little bit of education there. But more importantly, I think that there are also options available to us.
Yeah, and we'll go into those options.
Yeah.
Sometimes people would think that we shouldn't talk. I want us to start talking about the problem first, because for people to know that there's something that is broken, I'll list out some of the problems. Pastor Salif, what are some of the issues with the legislature for which you think I'm calling them, that need fixing? Definitely would need response. But let's talk about some of the issues in the legislature. I listed some already, and let's see if you have addition or if you can drill more into those ones that I listed.
Yeah, I mean, you one of the things you talk about, I really stood out the brown envelope thing. I think one of the major issues of the legislature is a lot of people going in the legislature are not going there with the true intention. You see, when you're in a country where government is the highest employer, then this is a problem. When the private sector is ineffective, nothing's happening there, then the only place to make money is government. And most of the people going in government, honestly, they don't belong there. So people going into the legislature with the wrong mindset, they're going there for one purpose. It's an opportunity to make money. You have free gas slip. They give you a car. Every year, they're increasing their own salary. So they're there for the very, very wrong reason. That's one major thing. The second thing I will add to your list is they don't know their own power. The democracy run under through three separate co-equal branches of government. For the reason of checks and balance, and the legislature is one branch of government, the first branch of government that does not even know why it exists. And this started all the way back that I really came close to was from Ellington. Every time I visited Liberia, I would sit with this other senator and they boasting, oh, the old man and me, we're so close. I mean, anything she calls me first. That's how tight we are. So they end up relinquishing their power to the executive, which ought not to be so. So, yeah, those two things that go there. The Liberia current legislature today, they make more money than they make laws. So they go there primarily to make money and not to make laws, not to fix things, not to hold the executive to account, not to do anything. They don't know why they are there. And then, they just relinquish their power to the executive. So, and the Liberia, the third thing I will add is the electorate. One of the major problems is we send people to the House or the Senate who we have no reason sending there because they give us T-shirt, they give us a cup of rice, and that's it. So those are some of the fundamental problems wrong with the legislature.
Thank you. Let me welcome our friend who is joining us all the way from Asia, Mr. Sharif. Mr. Sharif, welcome.
Thank you, Dennis. Good to be here.
And let's talk about, I want us to go around the room and talk about the problems in the legislature that will...
You're not welcoming Elvis too?
No, Elvis was here. He came late. He should be here sooner than that.
Elvis, I tried to plead for you, but it's not.
Elvis, welcome.
It's bad to be picking.
I'm telling you.
Elvis, welcome. Elvis, at some point, he was disgusted with the system, so he went on sabbatical, but he has mastered the courage to come back and say, well, this is our country. We're going to throw our hands in the air and give up. We have to fight. So let's go around the room and talk about some of the problems in the legislature for which somebody will say really reforms are needed like yesterday. Mr. Sharif.
Yeah. Again, I'm probably going to be with you guys for a few minutes, maybe an hour, because it's morning now. I have to go on my routine, my morning routine and stuff like that. So this is a huge problem. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but
yes, we can.
Yeah. So this is a huge problem. Anytime you have one of the institutions, and in this case, a very important institution, very weak, very corrupt, and insensitive to the needs of the Liberian people, then it's a problem. We have to have the three branches working together as co-equals. In this case, it is not. We already know that the three branches are not working together as co-equals. We know that we have an executive presidency, so the executive mansion dominates the legislature and the judiciary, to the chagrin of a lot of us who understand these issues. But the people who are elected, whom the Liberian people elect time and time and again, do not understand the issues. They do not understand their roles and all these different things here. And so as a result, they go in to collect paychecks. It's all about paychecks now, Dennis. It's not about patriotism. It's not about making laws. I think Clarence said it right, or someone else did. It's not about making laws. They don't, no good laws are being made. And Pastor said that, you know, they get more pay than they make laws. And that's what's going on. And the danger of this is that year after year, election cycle after election cycle, the same rotten politicians are elected.
Thank you. Evis, we're talking about the problem here. Let nobody say, oh, don't talk about the problem, talk about solution. Let's know the problem, then we talk about solution. Go ahead, Evis.
All right. Thank you. I hope you're hearing me fine. Look,
Sure.
I think, and sorry for being late, I think when it comes to the legislature, we have to ask ourselves, of the three branches of government, which branch is performing the best amongst those three branches? One could argue is the judicial system, because I think those judges, they go to work every day and they actually have cases before them that they have to listen to, use their legal training and make decisions and judgments. So probably you can say that the judiciary is doing the most work for the bank, for getting the most, we're getting the most bang for our buck for the judiciary. But when it comes to the legislature, I just thought about President Obama, right? When Mitch McConnell refused to give him, Merrick Garland as his justice, and they had to wait for the next election. Can you imagine that happening in Liberia? There would have been bribe overnight, and that justice would have been passed. So I think the key thing here is the legislature don't know their true power. They don't really understand that they technically have more power than the executive. They can hold the executive in check, but they allow themselves to be used as a tool for the executive. And that's why they're ineffective. They're not edifying the Liberian people by passing laws and doing things that's going to better the lives of the people. They look at it as, we are your only stopgap. If you want to pass anything, wet our hands and we'll let you go. It's like a gate man. It's like a police officer standing on the road. The legislature, if the executive convoy is coming down the road, you want us to open that gate, give us money, and we'll let you do whatever you want to do. They've conceded their power to the executive. So they're ineffective. And that's why for us looking at them, they seem useless. They seem like they're not worth the money that they're being paid, because they've abdicated their responsibility to the Liberian people, and it becomes second class to the executive. I think they need retraining and they need alignment to understand that, look, we have great powers. We have the purse of this country. We can dictate how money is spent in this country. The executive have to come to us for most things to get approved. Why are we, conceding and kowtowing to the executive branch of government? So for me, like you said, right now, in terms of what's going on in the country with USAID, I think I've proposed it. You have to take drastic measures. There has to be cuts. And I think everybody has to come into conformity with the necessary economic austerity that has to happen in the country. So when we look at it from the outside, it's like, it looks hopeless, because these guys are greedy. They're almost inherently greedy, that they're not going to look at it and say, let's put country first. Let's take 50% salary cuts. Let's take away all of these benefits that we're getting. It almost seems unheard of. If they do it, we probably need to nominate them for the Nobel Peace Prize, because it's something that is unfathomable. We can't fathom that right now, because the reality is we've never seen any kind of true sacrifice for the country in Liberia when it comes to our lawmakers. So if I put a proposal to the House or the Senate, take a 50% pay cut, even if it's temporary until we can get aid, I guarantee you 90% of them will vote against it. Guarantee you. So that's the problem. The problem is greed. Simply put, greed and application of responsibility, and not knowing your true worth and selling yourself short to the executive.
Thank you. And let me just show you a few projects of some of our representatives. This one from Mangibi. You see the dedication of Representative Ellen Atto Ray. That's there's a legislative project. Representative
Oh my God.
Representative Tao Wangwe, when you are entering his district, he has his picture there. Honorable Tao Wangwe welcomes you to district number 9. And then when you are leaving, Honorable Tao Wangwe says goodbye, thank you for visiting. I just use those two as an example because I saw there. I thought it was very interesting. Mr. Dr. Pearson, what are the issues for which reforms are needed in the legislature?
So let me say this, right? in conflict assessment and conflict management, you first of all must understand what is the root cause of the conflict. I think the root cause of the conflict in the House of Representatives is the need for absolute power desired by the executive. And when I say the executive, I'm talking about President Joseph Yoma Boyka. All right. And that knowledge is now even more clear when you hear the illegal speaker, Richard Kuhn, says they will not sit and allow any opposition to sit as speaker in the House of Representatives.
Dr. Pearson, let me interject. I don't want us to restrict it to the current legislature because the deterioration that I'm talking about, when 66 out of 68 concession contracts were bogus, when President Salif went and said, well, that my son, I take the blame. When we saw and on these things going on, right? So what I want us to start with before we even go to what caused it is, what are the issues that we have in the legislature?
Mr. Dennis, I'll go back, I'll go back to where I started in response to your question. Because if I had a cut on my foot and had a sore 6 years ago, and the sore, whatever instrument that caused the cut is removed from the path, and someone else has come as the medic or the doctor to treat the wound, I've had an opportunity for a fresh start to bandage that wound, to have it treated, disinfected, and cured. So what I'm saying in short is that if President Boyka was not at the moment greedy for absolute control of the House of Representatives, absolute control of the Senate, and absolute control of the judiciary, it is possible all of the things that we see as problem in the House of Representatives, as we see it now, would have been curtailed by good leadership and discipline in fiscal management, by a rescue mission who have come with the intention to make the political and the social changes that we all desire that was lacking in the past administration. So in short, I'm saying, I'm not saying he may have had a magic wand, but just by having a new administration by means of democratic elections and changing the bad administration that we said we have there, the likes of DeLong, the likes of Yomli Kanga Lawrence, the likes of Samuel Kogarden, the likes of Fode Family who's saying they are there for the right reason, we would not have seen the budget being passed behind armed men and the speaker budget moving from 1 million to 5 million. We would have not seen that. We would have seen a drastic, how you call it, Senate, the circumstance that they do to put people in position, how you call it, when the president appoints them.
Confirmation.
Confirm, right?
Confirmation.
Yeah, would have seen a different style of confirmation with more detail and law for country. We would have seen an appointment by the government, by the president, with more patriotic people, like they said he had, and more prepared people to run the country seriously. We would have seen a new budget.
Anyway,
all of those things
you are not answering my question, so I got to go to the next.
Yeah.
Pastor Salif, what are the issues in the legislature? For which somebody would say reforms are needed generally.
Like I said before, lack of understanding of their role. That's the fundamental issue in the legislature. They don't understand why they are there. Again, like I said, most of these people there shouldn't be there in the first place. There's no reason they should be there. But for them, it's just another hustle. The country is so economically thrilling right now that everybody is trying to find a source of livelihood. The private sector is defunct. There's not much happening there. And so everybody feels, you know what, I can go into politics. And that's why these people, so the fundamental problem in the legislature for which it needs reforms is most of the people there don't know why they are there. They think it's just a place for prestige. There's some are there for just self-aggrandizement, like those two stuff you show. The legislature job is not to do projects. That's not the job of a legislature. But doing campaign, you hear these guys talking, oh, I will build bridges. Oh, I would. No, that's not why you're there. The legislature controls the power of the purse. Your job is to go there and make laws that will benefit your constituents, channel money, resources to your, when Ellen was a president, I know they had this debate one time. Edwin Snow was in the House, and they were talking about fiber optic cable. And another person debating about roads. But because of Edward Snow's interest, he said no. He was so vehement about that. No, you see, when the fiber optic cable, it comes through the sea, it provides internet and XYZ, and doctors can be in this place and they can. And I was like, what is this fool talking about? You don't even have roads to get anywhere. And you're talking about channeling. These people don't even know why they are in these spaces. So you see, Ty, one way, disclaimer, he's somebody I know very well, so he's doing that. I don't know whether it's a Palava hut. I don't know what kind of project that is. The other one, whether it's a bridge, wood bridge, or whatever he's doing, that is not their responsibility. You don't go campaign talking about you going to build school, build bridges. That is not your job. Your job is to make sure the fiscal budget, priorities, money are channeled behind the right priorities. So the most fundamental problem, these guys don't know why they are there. That they are just hustling. These guys are just hustlers. It's just another way, like somebody leaving their house jobless, going on the street to hustle for a daily bread. That's what these guys are doing in their house. That's why we have all these miscreants there, people who were living in one room with their brothers, irresponsible people. They convince people get behind them. Some of them borrow money, they fund their campaigns, and then they're there. So they feel they are there to make money and not to make laws that will benefit the country. That fundamental, that's why they can relinquish their power to the executive. They don't know that, we are co-equal branch of government. There's a separation of powers for check and balances. That's why they're there. These guys don't know why they're there. They just don't know.
Mr. Namwe.
Yeah, I agree with ST. I think the primary responsibility there is oversight and, of course, lawmaking and representing the people. I can't say that our legislature is doing any of those. I mean, what kind of laws have these guys passed? Some of them have been there. Some have been there 3 terms. I think all they've been concerned with has been money grab, power grab. That's all they've been, concerned with, and that is a problem because I would say of the 3 branches of government, I think our nightmare right now is the national legislature. And why? Because the executive, they are looking the other way because they want the legislature to look the other way when it is budget season or whatever it is. But the legislature is a problem. Almost every session of every season of the legislature, they want to adjust their salaries upward. And that is a problem. So we were talking about, some of the issues that we have, and I really believe an informed electorate is something that we should, in some of our circles, progressive movement here. Multi-party democracy was our challenge. We have a multiplicity of parties now. So I think we've gone over that. I think the next frontier is education. Our people really need to understand the issues. People are being trucked from outside of the vicinity of the locale, and they come and vote, and then they go back. Our people need to understand those people need to be rejected. I think the law there should be a law against that by this time. So we have all of these happening, and then you have these like ST was saying, some of these people come into the legislature from absolutely no background, no job experience, no managerial experience. Some of them come from zinc shop. There's nothing against being poor, but when you come from such a background, your appetite, you have a greater motivation for money grab, and that is that's our major handicap. So we have that happening, and the executive is enabling that simply because you scratch my back, and I scratch your back. So before I hand it over, again to Mohammed. I know he's very, very far away from us to come back. Elvis also, he may be the youngest on set, But I have a lot of respect for his sharpness, and he's one of our regulars on point. So I'm glad he didn't walk away, and he's coming back to us. Good to have you back.
Right. Thank you. You know, if you have a well-rounded host, you attract those kind of people.
Of course.
But you know, one thing we should also say is, I spoke to a legislator who was running and said, well, if you go there, if you are running and you don't talk about building bridges and building roads and you talk about laws, nobody's going to vote for you. Clarence, I think you're close to a lot
So,
of these
so Dennis, I'm sorry to cut you. And look, let me tell you this: I am heartbroken. I didn't want to go there, but I'm heartbroken. This Ty Wongwe really is one of those guys. I think he was in the ANC or whatever, but you know, he's one of the guys who I really thought was one of those people who are considered a fresh breath of everything, you know. But to see that, I mean, I think he got $100,000. I believe that's what they get in the legislature, and the senators get $150,000. What I saw over there, you know, if you're going to do it, even though it is not that exactly, even though that's not what you're there for, but then if you're going to do it right. Is this $100,000 project?
No, I'm not saying it's the $100,000 project.
No, I'm not saying you said that, but I'm going to assume he got $100,000. I'm hoping that there is another project, and this cannot be the only project. But if that is it, I'm heartbroken by that, and I really hope. I pray to God that there is something different and better than this that he has to show us.
Yeah, well, what I was saying is, if you're running a campaign and you are not building these things, when Senator Commonwealth lost, he told me, he said, I'll interview here, hey, the people come and they say they're going to do that, just outspend you, right? So people want to hear that you are going to build their roads, that you're going to send their children to school, that all the pregnant women, you're going to be responsible for their hospital bill, right? If you don't do that, nobody's going to vote for you, or they're going to vote you out, right? Dr. Pearson, I think you are close to things like that. What do you do in that case?
Thank you, Dennis. Just before I comment on that, you know, if you walk over to me in the village and you saw spoiled fruits falling from the orange tree, and you ask me what is wrong with the tree, and I look to the roots, and you are telling me to look at the branches, I will tell you, Dennis, you are looking in the wrong direction, and that's why I answer you the way I answer you in the first place to begin with. The problem with the legislature is not the branches, meaning the guys in the legislature. The problem with the legislature right now is the root, and President Boyka is the bad nutrients at the root of the tree. He's damaging the fruits that is bearing on the tree. If he doesn't facilitate what the guys are doing, they will not do those things. If he doesn't make a gafouin to seize the budget from the legitimate speaker to give it to the disgruntled lawmakers, they will not be carrying a disgruntled budget. If he did not approve the bad budget that they gave to him and manipulated, he will not be having a bad budget. So let's leave that. Look.
Yeah. No, let's stay with that.
Yeah, Mr. Nando,
let's stay with that, Dr. Pearson. So before President Boyka, did we have the issue that you are talking about now?
Again, everyone who sat on this platform before President Boyka said the same thing about George Weah. None of them came here talking about election. They came here talking about George Weah, and that's why they voted him out. So let's leave that. Let me go to
I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about the legislature. We're saying there are problems in the legislature, right? So I wanted us to look at the problems.
Dennis, our legislature,
everything started and ended with Boyka.
Our legislatures from President Charles Taylor to Ellen Johnson to George Weah to now Boyka is controlled by the executive branch of government. If the executive branch of government wants to move in the right direction, the legislature will fall in line, because they allocate the funding and they twist hands to get.
Let me
leave that. Let me go to the projects. Look, Dennis, I was fortunate to have walked from village to village, from towns to towns, carrying cassava on my head in Liberia. Right? When you walk 2-3 hours and you come on a main road or between towns, and you met in that structure you just saw, and you come on the main road to put your market down, and somebody like people that Young Bleed them passing on the road, or people like Prince Johnson them passing the road to stop along the road to buy from you. If you had that structure to protect you from the rain and the sun, you appreciate it, in our rural communities. That's not an urban development strategy. That is a sustainable development strategy for rural community where the people can maintain that structure in the absence of tier 1 way. And I will say that when you travel from Liberia from Painesville to Buchanan, trust me, Dennis, there is a spot that we normally stop to buy crawfish, bitter ball, pepper, coconut, whatever the case is. When you go into Kakata from the way of Raleigh, there's a spot on that road that we stop to buy similar items. Everything that is broken tables and thatch and palm branches over the people selling there. Whoever has ever stopped and thought in their mind that these people need to be protected from the elements. No, we shouldn't just condemn because we see something better in other countries and we feel it should automatically happen in Liberia. Development must be strategic. It must be sustainable. In the absence of our lawmaker, when he leaves, the post should be able to maintain that property, and I think they can maintain that property. So I don't frown on what Alta one way.
Did he have to put his picture there?
Dr. Pearson, let me pretend to be
the issue of the picture. 1 minute, Mr. Salit. The issue of the picture is that you cannot divorce politics from a politician. The politician wants to brand himself. When the Ebola happened, all of the majority of the buses that ran in Monrovia while I was there has what the guy named he was not represented at the time. Sir Joseph pictures on it, and the hat Sir Joseph became popular and became represented after the Ebola situation during elections. President Baka just recently went to dedicate a renovated health facility. He wear picture on the people pillow and on the health clinic, people bear spray. It's politics in Liberia. Why would we pick on a young man who is trying to brand himself and sell himself to the community when we all are saying it is not his responsibility to even do that?
But let me pretend to be a co-host here for a second. I don't think we're talking about what he's doing. If you, Dr. Pearson, work in the department of a company, and that department was given $100,000 to execute something.
No, put no correction. He didn't receive $100,000. No, that's miss.
I've not asked the question yet.
No, don't put $100,000. You'll be misinforming the public. That's not true.
No, I'm just saying.
$100,000. Then speak correct information.
Will you defend that project? No,
I'm saying he didn't get $100,000. Dennis, clarify that for the audience.
No, it was just a hypothetical number.
No, don't use hypothetical when you're talking about somebody's political career. No, that's not fair to him.
Okay, I will take that. So to put this problem of the legislature squarely at, you know me for this show, to put that squarely at the feet of Joseph Boakai, President Boakai, it would be ludicrous. The reason is the legislature has been rotten from the get-go. So President Boakai is just there his time. The only thing I won't say, President Boakai is just not politically savvy. And that's why we have this impasse in the legislature. It's foolish because if I were president and Kofa is from the opposition and he's the speaker and he's giving me everything, since Boakai was inaugurated, Kofa has not opposed anything of Boakai. An astute politician will say, you know what, I will use this opposition speaker and get everything I want to my credit. So if they are the ones, but if that is a shenanigan of the UP has been alleged to remove Speaker Kofa, then all that speaks is they're not politically savvy. But the situation in the legislature that Dennis is asking us to speak about got nothing to do with Jim Boakai. Yeah, it has nothing to do with him. This problem been there long before Boakai came.
I wanted to come in, Mr. John. I don't know if it's my time.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I want to say this. I think we have a democracy with missing components. Usually on this platform, I don't like to talk about myself, but I would toot my own horn here for a little bit. As a kid in like 8th grade, so a while back, I was elected in the state of Minnesota to represent the entire state. When we had a national reading of the Constitution. I remember I was on TV, I read it, went to Minneapolis downtown, we did a big program. I was a top history student in my school at that time. And I'm saying this because educational fundamentals are important. When children don't understand the civic duties of their representative and the lawmakers, they make the wrong decision. It's like a mechanic who doesn't know what the tools in his toolbox are supposed to do. You can't pick the right tools to complete the right task. So when you look at the people who are uninformed in those villages, in these rural areas, who don't know what the roles of their representatives are, they're always going to pick the wrong tool to get the job, to get the job done. So let's ask ourselves here, right? Let's be fair to the Liberian people. When is the last time that your representative in the district that you live in has done anything that impacted your life personally? Whatever county or district that you live in this country. Usually the doings of our representative is really not felt on our daily lives for most people. On the local level, the city councils, the mayors, those are the people that really make immediate impacts in your life, in the safety of your communities and so forth. So when I say there's missing components in our democracy is, for example, commerce, the Chamber of Commerce is one of the main tools that representatives use to bring investment into their constituencies. Because the commerce would tell them, okay, we have these companies that want to come in. This is going to bring 10,000 jobs to this section of our district. It's really important that Congress pass this law to allow this company to come and give them some kind of tax breaks. So they lobby their representative, show them the benefit, that it will bring to their communities. And then the representative now go to Congress to lobby on behalf of their people because this is going to directly impact the life and the livelihoods of their people. So that those components in our democracy is missing. We don't see lobbying. We don't see, grassroots lobbying that would directly impact the lives of the people. And then you take that case to your representative so that he can make that case to the Senate or the House so that that company or that law can be passed that will, directly or indirectly benefit the people of his constituents. So I think we're missing certain components. And somebody said it. These guys are not students of democracy. Most of them don't understand how government's supposed to work. Truly, they don't. And I think that's because of the lack of foundational education that they have when it comes to civics. A lot of people don't really understand how democracy is supposed to work. So when they get there, they think that their job is to directly impact the lives of the people in terms of doing these projects and building these roads. And again, it's not their job. But because they lack the understanding of what the position is, they do it anyway, thinking that it will curry favors with the people. So for me, I just think it's Go ahead, Mr.
Evan,
John.
Evan, let me disagree with that because I've spoken to a lot of representatives and senators. They know exactly what their responsibilities are. But they say if they don't do that, the people are not going to vote for them. A friend of mine was elected representative in Sino, a friend and brother. So I say, what we need to do now is let's look at those in sixth grade. At the end of your 6 years, they're going to be 18 years old and ready to vote. So why can't we engage them now? He said, no, that would be a waste of your time. We will just wait and get money and use the money during supposed to be the 2023 election. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. Some of these guys, Tab Nash. I mean, don't tell me Funati Kofa does not know, the responsibility of a senator or representative.
And then
But they're not going to get vote. Let me hear from Mohammed. He has not talked for a while. He's far away. So this whole idea that they don't know what to do, I don't want to believe that, Mr. Sharif.
Yeah, it's a combination of both. Some of them don't know what really to do, and some know what to do. And the common denominator for them is a lot of them are very corrupt. And because of corruption, because that's the acceptable culture, and so everyone goes with that. Because if you get in there and you try to institute reform, and your colleagues are telling you you're not going to make it in here, you're not the first one to come in here with this. I actually asked a longtime friend, this is years and years ago, who was running, and I said, will you reduce your salary? Will you push for a reduction of salary? I'm supporting you, but one of the things I like to see is reduction of salary. He said, that's not popular. That's not popular with, that's not popular with my colleagues. So when I get in, I don't know if I will push that. He says it's not popular. So that's not something that he was going to do. And so he was going to start his legislative term based on whatever everyone else is doing in the legislature. And so even though he didn't win, but that right there gives me an understanding of some of the inner workings of the legislature. Some of them do know what to do, others don't know what they're doing. But the common denominator is a big corrupt institution, and they don't really care. A lot of these guys don't really care
You
about
said something. Is it the institution that is corrupt or the people or both?
the people make up the institution. So the people, so it's it's part and parcel of the same thing. It's the two sides of the same coin, if you will. So
Thank you.
the people have made the institution corrupt, including the executive. Dennis, the presidential interference has been going on in these institutions for a long time. I remember there was an account. I think Brewer actually. There was a writer who authored something about Charles D.B. King when Firestone. Some guys from Firestone assaulted a Liberian native, and the court stepped in and tried to do the right thing. So Charles King, upon hearing this, penalized the court for this. So he overreached, and and Firestone was let go. This is a long story, but I'm just summarizing this. And Firestone was let off the hook. And there was another instance where during the Firestone negotiation that the Liberian legislature was told to accept whatever Firestone was bringing to them. So it was manufactured, the agreement was manufactured here from the United States and brought down to the Liberian legislature. Whatever they had, whatever they agreed upon, was struck down on with the acquiescence and the connivance of the president of the Republic of Liberia at the time, Charles D.B. King. So these things have not just started now. It has been a combination of all these different factors, executive overreach, and then later on you have individuals who just go with the executive because it's the popular thing to do. And not only is the popular thing to do, but it's the safest thing to do. Imagine Tubman time you challenge Tubman. You're going to be expelled. People were expelled. Legislators have been expelled from the legislature before for challenging the executive.
Thank
And
you.
so a lot of people try to play it safe. Look at Kofa now. What did Kofa do to warrant this coup d'etat in the legislature? Somebody please tell me, what did he do to warrant this? He gave the president everything that the president wanted. He was a loyal opposition. He is still a loyal opposition. What else do you want if you're the president of the Republic of Liberia? But because
Thank
of
you.
power, the president and his party want everything. Kuhn is gunning for 2029. Thomas Fowler is also looking at 2029. You have all of these inter fighting going on for Bwaka's replacement. Hence, the victim has to be the legislature. The victim
Thank
has to
you.
be a member of the opposition. So it's a combination of a whole host of different things. You can't pin it down to just one thing. But if there's a common denominator, the common denominator is the institution, the individuals who are in that institution are very corrupt.
Thank you. And we'll come
Mr.
to
Sharif, he tried to order the house and he didn't pass the yellow machine deal. That's why they removed him. That's what he did in their eyes.
Mm, mm,
thank you.
okay. Wow.
The few things that came to mind here, our legislature, they will sign some bookers contracts and even confirm people who are not qualified because, and concession agreements will go ahead, right, and sign them, no matter what. They are taking, I call that, ungodly salaries and benefits, and they will appropriate the same for others, like the ministers, right? We saw a video of this acting central bank governor, somebody saying, I mean, you're in your own house. I mean, how do you give me housing allowance in good looking, for God's sake? Right? And then they fail to hold the executive accountable. We saw the public work minister say, I'm sorry. I mean, you just violated rule. This is a crime. He said, I'm sorry. And they laugh about it, and that's it. because you scratch my back, I scratch your back. In fact, they have used the power of the purse to intimidate the Supreme Court, if I would say. Because if you don't approve these things, if you don't do that, I mean, I think we remember when Supreme Court said they were going on strike because there's benefits, their salary was not coming. And now we see this complete deterioration that resulted into the burning of the chambers. We now have total chaos. We saw with the Yaka Koluva car, we saw with the breaking into Funati's office and all the 9 yards. These are some of the problems, if I can summarize. Root cause, impact, and what can we do? But let's start with what is causing this problem. Dr. Pearson, you wanted to start with the root cause. Things that are happening in the Senate and the House of Representatives that are bad. Let's go to the root for a minute.
President Joseph Yaman Boyka is the root cause. You know, I keep going back there. Let me tell you this. The budget, you talk about contracts and concessions. Even though contracts and concessions are passed in the House and the Senate, it originates with the executive. The 285 yellow machines that we're talking about here that got stuck because somebody wanted. If
you say Boyka, you are trivializing the discussion.
It depends what you want to hear. I'm telling you, the root cause of Liberia's problem right now is the president of the Republic of Liberia.
Is the presidency or is Boyka?
President Joseph Yoma Boyka is the president that was elected by the people of Liberia. Okay. No one else was elected president besides President Joseph Yoma Boyka. Let me learn. Then the CTM, the MedTech, the B Mountain, and everything else will not stand if the executive branch of government does not want them to stand. They will be scrapped right now. Let me go back. Heavy salaries. If the executive branch take a decision that spending entities and revenue generating entities like LRA or LPRC, NP, RA, those trading institutions that are making millions of dollars but reporting less. If the president slash government appointee salaries, slash those autonomous agencies salaries, the next thing you know, when they carry the budget to the legislature, the guys will not be saying, because I see high salary, we also need our own high salaries. The salaries in the legislature have gotten high because they are competing with the executive. They are competing because the guys saying we cannot be approving the money here and then you'll be making more than us. So if you bring a high salary bill or wage bill from your end, they will carry that on the money up. It's just as fair. Let me. You said another thing. You said a failure. The failure we are seeing is because of poor leadership from the presidency of the Republic of Liberia, President Joseph Yoma Boyka. And I repeat myself there and close, so I don't take all your time. The President Boyka says today that Augustine Kwehe Kafwan do not send any legislative funding to the majority black. Those guys will get disoriented. Those guys' whole control over power will be broken down. If President Boyka says when those guys are breaking down doors of the speaker, they should be arrested and called in for questioning. There will be no breaking of doors in the capital. If Kun give order that somebody vehicle should be drilled as an ordinary citizen, if he's dragged to the Liberian National Police and answer for breaking an entry, illegal breaking entry into somebody's vehicle, he will not be given instructions to do that. So President Boyka is enabling the deterioration of law and order in the country. That's the plain fact. You fix him, you fix the country.
Thank you, Mr. Nabwe.
Oh, Dennis, look, the caption underneath this recently that you put up, accountability. I think the major problem is our legislators don't feel accountable to the people, and I think our people don't understand that these people are accountable to them. They are not our bosses. We actually are their bosses. Look, there are two things I wanted to say earlier. There is a very popular image, powerful image, or is all over the place. You see a piece of plank, right? One end is on land, the other end is over a cliff, and the politician is standing on that cliff, and the people are actually on land standing on that plank, but they don't know that they are balancing that politician from falling. We don't know that. Elvis was talking about, how,
I
the
don't
desire.
agree with that, but go ahead.
You don't agree with that?
Yeah, I think our people know.
You think our people know?
Yeah, I think they're being held
Then how
hostage.
is it that we continue? How are we not holding these people accountable? Why is it when these people are in the hotel for months and months and months and getting paid and doing nothing, that our people have not risen up? I don't think they know they
But
should do.
because let's use I hate to call name, but let's use some of the bright minds with master degree from America and all that. They either support one side or this side based on their tummy. So I
Yeah,
don't agree when people say they don't know.
yeah. If I mean that happens, but I would dare say that those are the anomalies. But look, let me say this quickly. I think either pre Ellen Johnson or probably during her time, or maybe even there was the County Development Fund, right? The county development, small county like Marion County was appropriated $200,000. When that money is appropriated, the legislative caucus would then go to the district and cause a district council to be convened. It is in that council that the needs for the people are developed, and they agree on how much of that money they're going to spend on what, and then they go ahead and expend that money. Ellen Johnson did not pay that money out. We did not pay that money out. This is the money now Bwaka is taking and giving to these people directly, and that is wrong. Look, there is a popular story in the NGO community. When I work for Mail, the story was this. The NGO comes into the town, they see the people going to the creek to get water, and they say, oh, these people are from Colorado, they need well. They put a beautiful well in the center of the town. They leave 1 year later, they come back, the well is sitting there, nobody's using it. The women continue to still go to the creek, and they don't understand. As they leave town, the little girl at the end of the town motioned them over. They say, the creek, only the men in this town don't fetch water, only the women fetch water. But when they go to the creek, that way they tell their little stories and have their jokes. Even if you put a well in, they will not use it. But this is a powerful statement. You cannot decide for the people what they want. They have to tell you what they want, and then you go out and address their need. Our guys are sitting in Monrovia, they get $100,000, $150,000, and they decide to build a welcome center as Taiwan did, or as Ellen Atto Red did. That's not what the people want. Maybe what the people really want is a little cassava grinding machine to help them grind the cassava. Or maybe they need fertilizer to grow their little, garden or something. They need something different. But we think we're so wise and so smart. Some of the people representing people, some of them are not going to the district in years once they get elected. You have to go and touch base with the people. You have to understand where the felt need is. You cannot sit in Monrovia and determine what is best for the people. And that is what is happening. And the executive, this is where I agree with Dr. Pearson. The executive is enabling it because they got no business putting
executive
in the budget to give it to a senator or a legislator.
Thank you. Evis, I listed some problems here that are in the legislature. What is responsible for those?
All right. Thank you, Mr. John. Look, I'll go back to my same point, right? Here's the whole charade.
So, Salih, your background is making you to disappear.
So the legislature, they abdicate the power of the purse to the executive, and then the executive use that power of the purse to bully them into making them do what they wanted to do. So I think we have to strengthen our institutions and strengthen our branches of government. For example, why hasn't anybody proposed a law that says you can't withhold the justices or the court, salaries? Because this is an institution, this is an integrative branch of our government. Judges are supposed to be impartial. They're supposed to rule without undue, influence. So protect them, protect their salaries so that they don't fall into the political fray and then have to be, influenced by the politicians of the day. So I think we have to protect the judiciary. That's an important thing because then they can rule at least without impartiality when it comes to cases that the government is involved in, because the government is not feeding them, quote unquote. The Liberian people is feeding them. So I think we have to do those things. We have to do certain things to take away certain powers from the presidency. Make sure that he can't be an imperial. We have, democracy is incomplete. We have to keep building. It's like a building block. You got to keep taking steps and actions to protect the institutions to make them stronger. And I don't think we've passed any law in the last few years that protect any of these institutions. We did the tenure position, which was great, but we saw what happened with it with President Weah and President Boyka. But we have to protect the judiciary, protect our judges, so that they can be well paid and their pay can be, isolated from the political, talk of the day. So I think that's one of the issues, Mr. Jao. We're not protecting our political institutions, and our executive branch is pretty much running the entire show and bullying the other two branches of government, using the power of the purse. And that's a big deal for most people. If you can't feed your family, if you're a judge and you can't make money to send your kids to school, it's an embarrassment. So sometimes you gotta succumb to the pressure of the presidency and just ruin his favor or give him what he wants, just so you can get your pay. So protect those institutions, protect their pay, give them dignity, and hopefully good-minded people, judges. I think they pride themselves on being, people of integrity. Give them a good pay, protect their pay. I think they will probably judge more fairly. Not all of them. Some of them will still be corrupt, but do things to protect the institution and try to inculcate them from corruption. I think if that happens, that would be a step forward for us. Little step, baby steps.
So,
You
so
know.
the root cause is they are not protected. That sounds to me like a child selling drugs, and say, "Oh, I'm doing this because I don't have money. I have to do this to go to college," right? So you were supposed to uphold the law. You are saying, "Hey, the president is withholding my salary, so I'm going to be corrupt." Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Mr. Jai, you work in the private sector. Trust me, if you live in Liberia where the job you're doing now, you can't do it in the private sector, and your kids are going to college and you got many bills to pay and somebody is threatening to hold your paycheck, and even if you go stay on the mountaintop, you cry foul, nobody's going to listen to you unless you succumb to it. It's a hard thing for any man, especially people that have responsibility. I'm not saying that this is right, but I'm telling you, we have to protect these people, especially in the judiciary, which is an integrity institution. You have to protect them. If the president threatens you can't pay judges because so and so political thing is going on, and as such they have to rule in a certain way, else they don't get paid. You think majority of them is not going to side with the president? Of course they will. So
Hmm.
let's not take the moral high ground. If you don't put things in place to protect institutions, those institutions are going to be left open for the influence of the executive branch, like we've been seeing happening from Ellen to George Weah to President Boycott. We can't deny that fact.
Thank you. Sometimes they take it out the egg, so we're not going to stand up for anything until. But President Pastor Salif, the signing of bogus contracts, ungodly salaries, failure to hold the executive accountable, uh, the complete deterioration in the that ended into the burning of the chamber, all these things, what's responsible? What's the root cause?
It's simple. And I think I listened to my colleagues, and I think we got to extricate ourselves from some of these mentality mindsets, keep shifting the goalpost and trying to shift the blame. And I don't want us to lose track of the topic that we're dealing with here tonight is basically on the legislature. I think that there's a prevailing culture in Liberia, and it's the culture of impunity. Nobody get punished for anything. Singapore used to be like any other African country, like Liberia, Sierra Leone, any of these ones. How did they, move from where they are? How were they able to leapfrog? It's a language we use in sustainable development. How were they able to leapfrog from where they were to where they are today? And if you go back to the Singapore model, you will see there are certain things they did. And one of the major things they did, which you can summarize in three, I think it was like 5, 7 pillars or something, but you can summarize in three. One of the major things they did was they took punitive action against corruption. They punished people who were corrupt. They did a complete meritocracy. They were not just employing people because, we were partisan, we were shouting no. And I used the parable here before. Even those on the beach that did not go to school, the Fantin people, the crew people, you go on the beach, you see lots of able-bodied gentlemen. That everybody got their role and responsibility. When the canoe come from fishing, there are people that pull it up to shore. When they want to go fish, there are people that push it back on the water. It's not everybody that pushes the canoe on the water that gets in the canoe. It's only the guys who understand fishing and know the water and understand these things, the behavior of fish, where they can get more catch. Those are the people who goes into the canoe. The rest remain. In Liberian politics, once you were partisan, you got to be given position. Whether you know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing, you got to be there. So there are so many problems. The culture of impunity. No politician has been punishing Liberia for corruption. So that's why this book was
let me stop you, because some of these things are not corruption, right? So the ungodly salary and benefits talking about, that's not corruption, that's
it's
legal.
corruption. It
No,
is corruption.
they pass a bill, they pass it, and they said we're going to get 10 times what everybody is getting.
It's corruption. It's just legalized. Corruption can be legalized. They just try to legalize the corruption. Okay. So you see, this book is sustainable development. If I'm handling the project, you can either look at the project two ways. You can look at it from top to bottom approach or bottom to top approach. And we advise in sustainable development, the best approach is the bottom to top approach. That means you have to involve all the stakeholders. You got to bring them, do your stakeholder mapping, bring all the stakeholders. They got to be part of the project when I'm doing the project design. The problem is this book of contract. People sit in Monrovia and they just decide this brown envelope. Go. Listen, most of these guys don't even read some of the things. Some of those books, those volumes, like when which are the oil company when they started under this Ellen thing, they took booklets of how many pages. Those guys just pass everything in 1 hour. They didn't even read the introduction. They don't even know what's in there, because as they bring the bill to you, they got your brown envelope under it. All you're interested in is the brown envelope. You don't know what's happening in the counties. You sit in Monrovia, you sign Booker's contract, concession agreement, and you send companies in the butchers to do anything. It is wrong. We need to get our people to the table. The community where the projects go. When I was in Nigeria, I did those things. I did training for communities where oil pipeline passed, sometimes 20 communities. We brought them to the table. We trained them on how to do things. The problem is, and I'm telling you, when I finally become president in Liberia, we're going to move away from some of these things. We're going to go to complete we will create a think tank in the township, so that the township decide this is what we want. Think tank in the district, think tank in the county, think tank in the national, so that as a national people would decide in the think tank for the next 4 years, or if our presidency is still 6 years, for the next 6 years, this is what the country needs. So anybody running for president, you're not coming to tell us what you will do. Tell us how you want to achieve these things that we want. The town chief, if you want to be town chief, this is what the town wants. Tell us how you're going to achieve it. Don't tell us what you're going to do. So all these things, the Booker's contract, the salary increase, it is corruption. Because these guys, that's all they went into the house to do. They didn't go to make laws. They didn't go to fix the country. They didn't go to do anything. They went to make money. It's corruption. At the bottom of it, it's corruption. I see my man Mohammed Sharif laughing.
Mohammed, what's the root cause?
Yeah, I'm laughing, Pastor, because as Dennis will tell you, FOL has been known as the staging ground for individuals to come in and start their campaign, and we hear nothing of it. Afterwards, what's our friend?
Ben.
I mean, you guys, but I mean, so okay. Let me recompose myself. So Dennis, this whole issue, right? It cannot just be done. And I think Elvis mentioned this. He talked about the progressive approach, right? Much as that's something that a lot of us would not like to hear, but the way it is so rotten that it probably going to have to take something like that, right? And it can even start with an executive who's committed to good governance, and executive whose goal is to say, enough. We are behind. Look, Dennis, in other parts of the world, the place I am now, these people are 1.4 billion, 1.5 billion people. How is it that they're able to feed themselves? And tiny little Liberia, of 5 million people come over here, get these people's rice, and take it back home. Oh yeah, we want Chinese rice. Oh yeah, China's gonna give us rice. India's gonna give us rice. Oh, the United States parboiled rice. You got folks who even say that they can't eat the country rice anymore. Oh yeah, we gotta. I mean, this is a situation where you don't have a leadership at any level. And when was the last time that the legislature has said, okay, we're going to sit here and revisit these issues? Why is it? It doesn't just have to be executive. Why is it that this country is not able to feed itself? How come we can't revisit the law, the current laws that are on the books right now? How come we can't revise these laws that are on the books right now? How can we not be a co-equal branch of government to challenge the executive on overspending, for example? Okay, we're spending in the wrong places. How can so a whole host of issues, right? I'm not going to be like my brother ST. So I would say, for example, if I'm in the legislature, this is what's going to wake me up every day. What are we supposed to do now? You start with the fundamental. Okay, we can't even feed ourselves. 5 million people have been dependent on borrowing money, on food from foreign sources since time. I mean, since independence, right? This country has been dependent. This country has been dependent on loans since independence. We already know that. Everyone on here knows that the country has been very heavily dependent. So where is the leadership at some point in time, if you like, that the legislature is going to sit down to say, we're going to have to change certain things. We're going to have to do certain things. That hasn't happened because everyone thinks it's about a job. Another speaker said is correct that this thing that people wake up and say it's another job, but that is not another job. Being a member of the House of Representatives, being a senator in Liberia should never be considered just another job. It's not another job. It's an important piece of responsibility that you have to not only run this nation, but to save that nation, Dennis. We are far, far, far behind. So when you travel to other places, you see the miles. You almost want to shed tears for us.
I don't know if I missed
Sometimes
it, but what's the root cause of this, of what we outlined has problems in the legislature?
we have mentioned we have mentioned some of the root causes before. So the root cause, if you want to if you want to look at a current issue, it didn't just start now. So you want to look at the root of the problem, it didn't just start now. Political patronage didn't just start now. It started with an overbearing executive creating for itself, assuming the powers of the legislature. It's subservient legislature that have gone along because they want to save their job. That's one way to explain this, but that's not all of it. And I continue to say, Dennis, it's not just one issue. It's a conglomeration of all the different issues. Someone
Thank
else
you.
mentioned education. I also agree with that. These guys, a lot of these guys don't have the level of education and sophistication that a lot of the panelists here now do have. Now, would that sound condescending? Maybe it is. But you know what? In a moment like this, if condescension will make them work, do their job, then yes, sign me on to that. Then I'll go ahead and be condescending. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not the right choice of words. But if that will make them do their job, then sign me off for that. For them to do their job. So
Thank you.
lack of education is another thing, and another thing is then is just excessive greed. Excessive greed is something that has been going on forever. The last thing, Dennis, I want to say is there is no accountability. In the United States, you have a very active Justice Department. And please forgive me, I'm not talking about the current Justice Department. I'm talking about traditional Justice Department that we've seen all along in the United States that will even arrest lawmakers. You have the senator from New Jersey. What's his name? Senator Menendez is in jail now. He's going to jail. There was a member of the House of
He's a
Representatives,
friend of
William
President
Jefferson.
Trump now, so he may
Wi-
walk.
William Jefferson, but that's what I'm saying. William Jefferson from Louisiana, who put money in the refrigerator. William Jefferson was arrested by the FBI. William Jefferson is in jail. You have governors that go to jail in the United States. You have senators that go to jail for corruption in the United States. So people are held accountable. Where's the accountability in Liberia? In
Thank you.
Liberia, it's very fashionable. So if you want to look at another root cause, it's because there's no action, there's no accountability for theft. In fact, it's celebrated.
Thank you. So when I was looking at this topic, I was thinking of some drastic measures, right? And the first thing that came to my mind is if we don't have House of Representatives and the Senate today, what we're going to miss? Can we not run this country without them? Because the deterioration, the decadence is just too much. People will
We
talk
can.
about democracy, right? And say, well, we are a democracy, we should have this, we should have that. But it looks like things are not working for us. So how about something drastic? Let's say starting with the slashing of this salary and benefit, because mind you, these huge salaries are called ungodly. It's not only happening in the legislature. Ministers, I mean, if you they say just the benefits, the gas slip of the LPROC managing director alone, that can employ about 100 people and pay them $100 a month or so, right? So slashing of salaries, and it goes down to the president, that veto pen. What if we have just, instead of having 30 senators and 173 representatives, what if we just have one person from each county or two persons in a unicameral, just one group? What if we have part-time legislature? So these are some of the things I was thinking about, right? No lower house, upper house, we just have one group. Whatever your population, maybe Grand Crew one person, NIMBA two person, stuff like that. Because if then the money we are saving can go somewhere else. So what are some of the bizarre ideas you have to really solve this problem?
And
Let's
Dennis,
think outside the box. Maybe I'm
and
thinking too
Dennis,
far off. Yeah.
Dennis, I don't want to jump in, but for thinking those questions, right? For actually outlining those questions, man, you are smart. You are very smart for even putting this out here. This is the kind of thing that these guys are supposed to be doing for us, for the Liberian people. And the fact that they're not doing this, it means that they don't know what the heck they're doing. You are very smart for doing this.
So since
let me come in.
Victor, go ahead.
Yeah, so and I agree with Mohammed. When you put out the the script, I didn't really think much into it, but I looked it up, I'll be honest. And I found one of the ideas could be what you mentioned, a part-time legislature. Look, I think the magnet that's drawing our people to the legislature is the chopping. They all want to come and chop, all these benefits and all that. So, and it is happening in states like Montana. It is happening in North Dakota. I understand Nevada, Montana is doing that. Where they come in maybe 20% of the time. If there is an issue, they come in, they get paid for that time. There is a pool of staff, a secretarial pool where people take their work. Maybe a few core staff for those specialized areas, and they get paid for that period. They go, and they don't have to always be the same people coming. But what I think the problem we have right now is the chopping that our people are getting for coming into the house and doing nothing. So yeah, I think the idea of a part-time legislator is very appealing. They don't have to come in and sit in for, whatever it is. They come in for a short moment of time. They do their job and they are disbursed. They get paid for that time. I think that's one of the ways we can save our people some money. You know, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. It is actually happening in other
Because
places.
even the people that we have working full time, they work just like 2 days a week. They go there Tuesday and Thursday.
Exactly.
And when they dismiss, when you call them back, you have to pay them like double.
Correct.
You know, Nebraska, I was reading that Nebraska has a unicameral, system. Only to Nebraska,
Exactly.
right?
It is like the idea that these tech geniuses are floating where you pay a mortgage on a car, but sometimes you use the car maybe 25% of the time the resident just park, and so they say, well, maybe there should be no in this driverless cars, car on demand. You don't need to pay a mortgage on a car when you're not really going to use it. It's just what you're saying. We don't need these people sitting in the place there doing nothing and coming to work maybe twice a week. Let them go home. When we need a legislature, we assemble and say, okay, do we need maybe 20 people to come in and be legislature for 3 months? And for that time, you come in, you get $5,000 or whatever it is. That is the pay. You go when you're done. And you don't have to come back the next time. I think
I have a different approach on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's even more drastic than your idea, Mr. John. Your idea is fine. I think we need to dissolve our government and reform a new republic, because this form of government is obviously not working for us. And I think one of the things I would like to see in a newly formed government would be really letting people know that working in government is a public service position. You're doing a public service to the nation. And as such, we're going to try to shed as much financial weight as possible by giving people, by paying them in services rather than in money. And what do I mean by that? So take a man who is serving as a representative. So instead of paying you $5,000 a month, maybe we'll pay you $1,000 a month. But if you have 3 kids, up to 3 kids, we'll give them scholarships to go to school. So you're serving us, we're serving your children back with the education on the government. So we're not paying you that money, but we'll give your children scholarship and in exchange for your service. So you take away a lot of the financial burden on the government, and you pay people in kind. Another thing we can do is to take a lot of these little the ministry people who are working in the ministry and put it to the youth. Employ the youth, give them jobs to do, little menial jobs, and become laborers in the summertime or on the off days on the weekends, and pay their tuitions. We send this whole free tuition. Let people earn their tuitions through public service. Make public service something that's very attractive. It's like I won't say quid pro quo, but you give to us and we give back to you in service. Give to us your labor, give to us your time and your expertise, and we'll give back to you through education.
That responsible citizenship, because as citizens, you should do something.
Right, but I'm
Pastor Salif. Oh, you're not done?
No, like that. I'm just saying the idea is let's try to get more people, especially young people, involved in public service. And in return, it can't just be because you love your country, but give them something back, whether it's education or sending them to vocational college by covering their tuitions, or let them give you something in terms of labor or in terms of service, and give them something back in terms of education. I think if we do that, we'll cut a lot of financial waste. We'll also help the younger generation to get education to serve the country later on.
How does your plan help reform the legislature?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I gave you one example of a representative, right? So instead of paying these representatives, exorbitant amount of money, give them benefits in terms of scholarship for the kids. Because they'll say, how can I feed my kids? Or how can I send my kids to school? Give them, their benefits. The package will be part of your compensation is going to be giving your kids scholarships rather than giving you $5,000. I mean, just an idea to throw out there. Maybe it won't work, but it's just my point.
Yeah, but then if you are like what his name, Mr. Toe from River G, who said he had only 16 children, compare that to somebody who had no child or only one, then how we going to do the payment? But anyway, let me go to Pastor Salif. Pastor Salif, your big idea is reforming the legislature.
A few things we can do to reform the legislature. You see, this is how I put it. The legislature is just like flies that run into fish. Okay, So the fish is rotting, it's smelling, so it's attracting all the flies. So you can try to take care of the decay and then you push out the flies. And sometimes it's just using salt. We all from the country, we know how we did this, how these things were done. You know, by the time you sprinkle enough salt on it, the flies are going to stay away. The legislature is like the moment fish, you know. That's why all these guys are coming. We got to cut off all those benefits. I agree with what everybody is saying, the proposal you're making. You know, I think if we can do the unicamera or we make it even voluntary, people volunteer to go and serve in communities and serve on some things. You know, if we take up all these benefits,
like jury duty here.
Yes, jury. There was one of the points I wanted to make. Jury duty. You know, and people go and they volunteer for these things. You know, if you cut up all these benefits, the people who elected you to office, they're struggling to get to work. Their children struggling to go to school. You are being paid salary. Why does government have to give you gas slip? Why?
Let me stop you because we are saying that has only the legislature having the ungodly salary.
No. It's not only the legislature.
You will listen to the ministers. They too are getting these benefits.
It's not only the legislature, it's the whole system. And you asked one interesting question that we just glossed over was who is responsible for the decadence in the legislature? Is it the legislature or the system? And you said you were talking about maybe like the chicken or the egg, right? It's both ways. Somebody could be very clean and go into the legislature and the system can corrupt you. So it's both, or you could be already corrupt and go there. So it's both ways. Both the legislature, the individual legislator, and the system, the legislature, both are corrupt. So they're corrupting the whole system. So the best way to reform the legislature is we can do few things. One of the things I'm working on right now is to start a literacy program for, you know, taking part in an election, voting for people. And that has to start from the elementary school. I'm working on that project where we start to go to elementary school, junior high school, senior high schools, and colleges so that we can start informing, because we can't correct this thing with this current generation. We got to start from the generation in elementary school and start teaching them how to vote for people. You're not voting for personality, you're voting for a platform, you're voting for programs. Those are the things you vote for. Because I thought about it when they started this Catholic School of Health Sciences at the Mother Pattern. I visited Liberia one time and I'm sitting on the campus waiting for my sister, and I heard two girls talking. They were having the campus election. And one of the girls said, "Oh, who you voting for?" And she said, "Oh, I'm voting for this guy to be the school president." The other girl said, "Oh, really? He's the one you're voting for?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "But do you know this other guy running too?" Say, "Who?" Said, "That other guy." Call his name. Say, "Who is he?" Say, "Oh, that's my brother. So I want you to vote for him." Say, "Oh, hey man, I didn't know that was your brother. Okay, I will vote for him." Tears welled my eyes because I was like, this is somebody in tertiary institution. She's going to vote for somebody not because of what he stands for, not for any principle, not for anything. It's because, oh, that's a brother to her friend. Does he have anything it takes to promote the interests of the school, to promote stand-up in the school, to lift up the stand? No. My friend said that's our brother, and that's why I'm voting for. So if we can start to teach the younger generation why you should vote for this person from elementary school, junior high school, senior high school, by the time they get to college, no fool's coming to come give them a cup of rice and T-shirt and then say, "Go vote for me." Some of these guys that even got there, right? The people they represented did not even vote for them. They bus people from Monrovia to Campley. They bus people from Monrovia to Tottenburg. They bus people all around the country to go and vote for them. So the system is corrupt. The best thing, remove all those benefits. Let's come with some civic education or elections and start to train from the cradle. When we start from the cradle, we inform the mind. We need a complete paradigm shift. Without that paradigm shift, listen, we cannot extricate ourselves from the menace that we see in our country.
Dr. Pearson.
Dennis, thank you. I think you asked a very hard question, but again, politics is a science, and history also inform us on the different types of government that are available to us, that if we want to try out We can just look at history. I don't think any of us on this panel wants a monarchy. None of us here wants a monarchy in Liberia. And a monarchy also can have a constitutional monarchy, like with the one guy in the UK, where you can have a monarch like the king or the queen of England, and then you can have a parliament who decide they elect the people and decide who to run the country, and then you have a figurehead monarch. I don't think any of us here want a theocracy. Otherwise, you put either me or Pastor Salif there, and we tell you God say that do this, and we all follow it. I don't think
we'll do a good job.
you know, I don't think we even want an autocracy. All right, where a dictator sit over us like Charles Taylor and run us like two. I don't think we want an oligarchy either. All right, where I think you're pushing here, because what I think will happen when we go by that recommendation you're giving, we have a few elite group of people who will manipulate the very people that are having meeting at the local community level, and will still run the show because they will control the power, they will control the web like Joseph Walker is controlling right now. Right now, let me tell you something. During early time after the war, when they had a county development fund, somebody mentioned earlier, the discussion happened from the superintendent office, and then they decided what type of project to do, and then they want to do the project. At the end of the day, they represented and the senator, and they took seeds of the money, and they said the money should pass through them. Eddie Soy wasn't making any impact, she cut it off. Let me come back again. On the job we are time, they said they will pass it through LACE. Even we're passing it through LACE. The legislature hijack it. Prince Johnson is an example. They hijack it and we are and say, you know, that's just who wanted the money. We can't give it to them no more. President Booker has come back and said, let's do a law that will say through we are time to Booker time. Let's do a law that will say local government, local government, Ministry of Local Government, and now we run the country through a decentralized process and start from the community or the county level. I think probably that will serve your purpose, Dennis. And I think we need more of this sort of, reducing the level of power that the president has. The president appointing superintendent, mayor, and what I want to say, a small magistrate, a court judge. And even when it comes to when it comes to the judge behind the Parava booth, the president appointing them. The president coming appointing down to kitchen board. He appointing election commission chair. He appointing judges. He appointing everything in the country. At the end of the day, everybody answerable to the president. The president is the one supreme power sitting up there. He can hijack anything he wants to hijack, even the judiciary. We just heard them crying that the budget was not sufficient for them to run their offices. I think, Evans, you must have heard of that. Where the judiciary cried 2023 budget, 2024 budget said nothing much in it for us. And they had to plead, they had to beg for budget. And at the same time, nobody addressed the problem. Those guys formulate budget by the executive branch of government. They formulate the budget. They don't even consult with the judiciary until you all start making noise a few days, not including them to discuss the budget. And I can assure you, when they're cutting the budget down, and when they're downsizing and resizing it in the legislature, they don't even consult them. They only see the final product. So they even legalizing an illegal budget. And then you hear the surrogates are saying to quiet the judges, but they're already taking pay. So why are we talking about budget being illegal? I mean, this is the kind of country we run. So I would say then we've tried all the different tools. The best we can do right now is maybe what Mr. Saliva just said. Maybe we need to bring up a new breed of young people that who will say on this show, well, reform the entire education system to breed a new generation that will take us somewhere else. But with this superior presidency, where the president appoints at the will and his power and control all the wealth in the country and all the concessions, everything like MedTech and CTM then that they're enjoying down there. LPRC can raise money enough to do half of that budget, our annual budget as a country. NPA can raise that entire 800,000 if all the money were accounted for. So at the end of the day, somebody eating the money. Who eating the money that the president gave it? He the one cutting the cow. So if we want to keep acting like we know what the problem is, let's play dumb.
I don't know. You said what I propose about unicameral or part-time or drastic cut. You say equal to having aristocracy. I didn't get that part.
It's equal to having what I refer to as authoritarianism form of government.
How so?
Because the power will end up being centralizing few individuals who are more powerful. Since everybody, let me tell you something, Dennis. The democracy we have has been tested over time to produce the results that serve as the
Are you
equilibrium of
saying
power.
part-time
But we have
legislature
just
is not
abused it in
democracy?
Liberia. That's all, we've abused it.
No. What I'm saying, are you saying part-time legislature or unicameral is not democracy?
So, yeah, so imagine those guys meeting Tuesdays and Thursdays to debate budget, debate issues. During the week, they're having oversight meetings, what they call public hearing, all the kind of ask people questions. Imagine if all of that's not happening with all the chaos we already have. Imagine if none of that's happening, we wouldn't have a part-time group. It's not going to be feasible for us.
Well, why would it not happen? Mohammed, you
Because-
are muted. If you have a unicameral, you have instead of having 100 people, you have 50. What's the
Then
And
difference?
I was
I
asking,
wanted to come in.
Why would that not happen?
Oh, get concentrated in few hands.
No, it's the other way around. Why would that not happen? Because if you have 2 days, as you stated, if I follow your logic, if you have 2 days to show up in the Capitol building to debate your budget, what are you doing the rest of the time? Are you not using 1 or 2 other days to talk to people, to gather opinions and stuff like that? Just because you're part-time don't mean that you cannot do, or does not mean that you cannot do those things. So no, I disagree. I disagree with that. In fact, it will be a better, a better way of managing our resources, because now you're not going to be overpaying these people for all their living expenses, for housing allowance, cards, and different things of that nature. So what they're doing now is the oligarchical system that you're describing, that you fear. Right now we have a group of oligarchs, well-paid and well-financed individuals who are basically lazy and doing nothing. And that's what you're promoting, and I disagree with that.
We have a democracy, Sharif. We have a democracy.
Clarence, part-time senators, they have them right here in the States. It's democracy.
Okay, so Dennis, that's what's different from the United States. In the United States, here we have federal government, and we have the state level government. So the state level government have their own. The state level government have their own form of parliament, or their own form of Congress. Whereas the federal have their own form of. So the federal runs the entire country. From that upper echelon level. So if you want to bring this to Liberia, then your community district council and thing will be what you're talking about now. They can be part-time. But if you allow President Boyka right now to say those lawmakers, they can go to the house, they will be there once in a while, President Boyka will get drunk with power. President Boyka will make the entire Monrovia a farm.
I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand it, because it doesn't change it. Instead of going to work 5 days a week and doing nothing, you are only going 2 days and doing something. Wanda Freeman said we must rewrite the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution has gone through 27 amendments since 1986. We have barely had amendments. Rewrite that Constitution. That will give you the option for reshaping Liberia. Ladies and gentlemen, Friday night debate. If you want to take part in the discussion, please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Mr. Nawe.
Yes, hello. I differ with my CPP brother, Dr. Pearson. Look, first of all, the examples he gave for which the previous president walked away from the County Development Fund idea, that's just a tragedy of Liberia. Ellen Johnson tried. Ellen Johnson that came and jumped in there, so she left. He walked away. Boaga came because soon as so he walking away. If something doesn't work, then you go from what's the ridiculous. Is it better now that we're giving these people $100,000 or $150,000? No, it is wrong, because it circumvented the system, so we run away from it and do something that's even worse than that. That's wrong. But here's what I think. What he's talking about, and even what Councilor Freeman is advancing, I don't think that's the only problem. I mean, the only solution. I still believe that people have the power. Our people have not understood the magnitude, the gravity of their power. Why are we not holding these people responsible, accountable? Look, the imperial presidency we talk about in Liberia is here in the States. I mean, just wake up tomorrow morning and check all the wireless, the news. Trump is all over the place. That's how the presidency is.
We're going to
But
knock that thing down. You already seen it. You already seen the Republicans and all
hold on,
the rest of
Mr. Pearson.
Yeah, that I agree with you. But the people
anything try to show that
you
that fire never did. Don't worry, the backfire.
You're already seeing people holding placards. It will backfire because the people will resist it. But we don't have any such thing in Liberia. Where is the civil? Where is the civil organization? The whatever they call themselves, community organization. Where is Linsu in all this? Where is Soup in all this? Where are the churches? Where are the churches? Every day people go to church in Liberia 24/7. You go to Liberia, you can't sleep. They all want to play drumming, boom, 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 boom. But things are faster to buy water.
That's one thing. You know what we are. The next thing. The next thing I want us to talk about is everything that we have said. How we're going to do it.
Yes.
You know. Yeah.
I will lead on into that. I think the people.
Hold on.
Power.
I'm going to talk more than that, right?
Okay, go ahead, teacher. Go ahead.
It's like, who is going to do it? Some are saying, hey, I mean, this is what we got. Let's wait 6 years, 9 years, and vote, right? But all this thing, who is going to do it? How are we going to do it? Who's going to, yes. What's going to happen tomorrow? Are we going to wake up and say, if we follow what Elvis is saying, you know, re-educate the masses and do this, or dissolve the government? How are we going to, what will be the approach? If you like Dr. Pearson and say everything ends and start with black eye, do we get rid of black eye, you know, so that and put in maybe Cummings or me and everything's going to change?
Cummings.
How we going to do it?
So Dennis,
now you say you're going to start.
Yeah, Dennis, let me tell you something. Look, in Liberia we say dry mystery, right? But what you want to mean is drying. The people here say life is what is happening to you while you're planning for tomorrow. What about now? We're waiting for 2029. What about now? You get in the money, you can't even buy rest in the market, and you're waiting for 2029 for Waka to be changed. No. Get up tomorrow and occupy the streets and tell your legislature or tell the president you are unhappy. He will listen. Our people need to understand the magnitude of their power. They can be suffering in the corner and just complaining all day and hitting you up on Sandwave all day. You know, send me $2, send me $2. We all said we're tired. They need to rise up. We can't wait for 2029. I think the people need to understand the power that they have in their hands. They can effect change. And we need to help our people. What Linsu today is quiet because the leader, Larry, them are in government now. Is that all Linsu is? Is that all Soup is? Kofi and other people are in government, so Linsu is dead, Soup is dead, Osim is dead. Why? I'm disappointed with our civil what we call ourselves civil society or whatever. Where is the anguish? Where is the outrage? Every day you see corruption in the paper all over the place. Today, MCS, all these people, they're stealing the money because they have the opportunity to do so, and nobody is stopping them. The president seems either unwilling or incapable. Our people need to rise up. They shouldn't wait for 2029. It's too far away. People are dying today and they're dying tomorrow. So I think we have a responsibility. We can do what we're doing here. I hope it is helping. Thank God we're coming to get on the radio beginning a week from now. I hope our people will be hearing us too. Those who haven't had the opportunity to hear us. We need to awaken our people. We need to sharpen the contradiction. We need to let our people know what the problem is, what is wrong and what is right, and what they're entitled to. This is our money that the people are playing in. So this is our life.
Thank you. You know, my brother is a psychologist, so sometimes I read over his shoulder and I heard of something called learned helplessness.
Yes.
So people have been exposed to this negative situation for so long until they just give up. They feel that they are powerless. So when you look at our citizens, right, they've been beaten down so much that they just say, forget it. I know my situation can't change. And part of the problem too that caused that is because these legislators and our big shots, they have so much money that they can buy anything. They can come and even buy your children. They can buy people to say, well, we're going to set up this brigade. They used to call them cyber forces. They can do anything so as to beat down everybody. So at the end of the day, everybody's just in compliance. And we are trudging behind them, the citizens trudging behind them like obedient pets. So sometimes what do we expect from the people?
Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome.
Mr. John, I wanted to say something, right? So take my village, or my my grandfather's village, which he started in Grand Gila County. The people in that village that you think they know that they're struggling. I mean, sometimes when you're in something, it's hard to you have to take a step out to look and see your actual situation. A man who's been living, going to the forest to find food, hunting, and been sustaining himself and his family for centuries or generations. You think that man know that he's not living a good life, that he's struggling in this 2025? Even the people in Monrovia, in the city where the seat of government is, they will call you and tell you things are hard, but they can't go to the legislature who they elected to tell them that things are hard for them. But they will tell their relative that things are hard.
He can't go home because the shot getting expensive. He can't go home anymore.
So the point that I'm making here is that the facade that things are not as bad as it is because the people are not complaining. That's one of the things that Liberian people don't know how to do. This whole thing that we are so pacifist. We don't like to even engage in any kind of tension to tell our legislature that we're not happy. Things are tough. Things are terrible. We heard people call on the radio during Christmas time that things are bad, that Christmas is not good, but they don't go show action. They don't take action to say we're not happy. Things are getting more difficult. Go to the House of Legislature, ask for a permit. These political wannabe activists, why are they not taking these things, in their hands and galvanizing people to protest? That's one of the powers that the people have, and people are not utilizing that power.
No,
So for the people in the way back in your village, Mr. Jack, how do they tell the legislature that they're struggling? How do they tell them that they're not happy? How do they tell them that their kids are not getting fed in the hospitals and in the health system in that community is bad? They almost have to wait until the legislature go back all the way to Sano Kante before they can engage them. They can't walk from Sano or take bus from Sano to go to the House of Representatives and protest their grievances. So most of the population of our country live in the hinterlands, as we call it. So those people are probably struggling the most, and they feel helpless because there's no way they can get redress. They're not in close proximity to the power of the country to go to the Capitol Hill and protest or to lobby their representative or to sit down in front of the gate and cry, that they're hungry, they're not getting their children school fees, whatever. We don't have a way for our people to adequately, ask for redress from their representatives. And that's one of the issues. So it gave the representative this false sense that everything is okay, nobody in the street, the country is calm, there's peace in the country, while people are suffering in silence. And I think that's a terrible thing.
And protest is not equivalent to violence. No.
I beg to disagree with Elvis in part.
And when you disagree, I want you to add that everything that we have said was the approach. Next step.
Okay. I beg to disagree with Elvis in part. You see, there's some betrayal going on. Our people know how to seek some of this redress, but I've lived it. The people get together, they come out, we're going to do this, but everybody can't go. They send a group of people to represent them. The representatives see those group of people, put them on, relate things, settle them. They go back, and that's it. That's how it's been. Even your own senator, Edward Snowden, company that's owing the country how many $1 million, they go there to a few million put in their pocket and they say, oh no, we waive the rest of it. So company that should be transporting iron ore through the rails, the trucking iron ore to Freeport, because senators who went there to settle these things, they put money in their pocket and screw the country over. I have seen that many times. I was in school, even high school, we try to protest, do these things. Okay, everybody can go to the principal office. So there's a few guys that could speak. They say, okay, y'all go in front. Y'all go there, talk for us. They go there. Whatever they settle, they come back, the whole tune changes. It's the same reason for election. The old people grew up in the country, and I know our people are not stupid. They are inclined. They see some of these corruptions that we also see. But everybody can go there. They don't have the power, the wherewithal to go there. So they trust certain people, say, okay, we're sending you as our representative. Just go to and change things. And they go there and betray the people because now they're collecting brown envelope, they're collecting money. So there's so much betrayal going on. But what was the question again, Dennis, just before?
I got to push. No, some of these civil society organizations have proven to stand the test of time. I agree with what you're saying. Yes, but some of them have been very, very, very steadfast, and they have stood for the people. I can tell you, Lindsay has been there. I worked for Lindsay before. Some of these organizations.
Doing that ever since.
I'm sorry?
Lindsay stopped. Let's just stop sending
Yeah,
people.
well, that was before. But yeah, I'm saying to you, it is possible. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that it is possible.
No, it is. It is possible, Jeff Victor. I agree with you. But you see, some of
So
these
as
guys.
of tomorrow, Pastor Sally, what do we do to implement all the things that we have said tonight?
That's what I'm saying. We need to start an effective, qualitative, civic engagement, civic education. That's my strength, right? We need complete civic engagement from the cradle. Listen, I was telling a friend, and listen to me, hear me out for a minute, right?
No, I mean, we want to reform the legislature, and we got to
Yes, so
start.
that's what I'm saying. It starts with civic. It starts with civic engagement, civic education.
So we got what? How many years to do that? 60
Yeah, we're
years?
talking about immediate
Dennis,
effect. With immediate
20,
effect.
20
Yeah,
years,
listen.
30
The
years,
reason
20
it
years.
cannot, you see, that's the problem. We want this quick fix to problem, and that's why we're not getting it. Where the legislature is now, there's no quick fix to it because they cannot even correct themselves. They cannot course correct. They're so deep. They are so entrenched in corruption. They can't do anything. The current electorate is still foolish. They also can't do. So we got to start from the cradle. You see the Republican, what they have done today to overturn Roe, that they had taken over everything. It was not a quick fix. They've been planning this thing over 50 years. That's why the Republicans are more strategic politically than the Democrats. They've been doing this. They've been stacking the code little by little by little by little. And by the time they completely stacked the code. They got the result today. What we're asking for now is there's a quick fix. There's no quick fix to this entrenched rottenness of our legislature. So we got to look in, say, the next 25 years. Some of us might not be around. Say the next 15 years, the next 30 years. What can we do so that we correct some of these things? We got to now start with the young children. Listen, and I will say this and shut up. All of us on this platform tonight, if we don't do what we have to do to change our country, it's not ever going to work. Our generation is saddled with that responsibility to create a why. The reason is it is our generation who saw yesterday, we live in today, and also looking into tomorrow. The generation after us, most of them were born in the war. The war started December 24th, 1989. Till now, how many years that is? So most of the current generation, the youth that will take after us, they never saw pre-war Liberia. The only thing they see is war and destruction. So it's our generation that saw pre-war Liberia, lived through the war, and are looking and living in this high tech now. So if we don't change it, the people coming after us don't know what we're doing. So we got to now start to go back to the cradle and start grooming the next future leader. It's not a quick fix. This is how we reform the legislature.
Let me add 5 seconds. I know I've spoken a lot, but give me 5 seconds.
No, I want to go to Dr. Pearson because
you'll go to it.
Right after Salida, I want to hear what he will say.
And what I'm going to say is relative to what Salim just said. Let me say this, and he and I are in Yola. All of you guys here are brilliant people. We have invited you once on the Constitutional Review Committee. You understand me? But that is what he just said is the problem we have. If an organization is faltering, we have a responsibility to go there and lift it up. Yola has a trust deficit. They have a lot of problems. A lot of you have washed your hands off the organization. Yola has also been a voice for the people. Come on, boy, join us. He is there. He knows what we're going through. But it doesn't mean we should give up on the organization. We could make Yola the effective Yola that when you and I were young, when Yola spoke on the BBC or on the VOA, people stopped in the streets and listened. That's not the Yola you have today. Why is that? Because all of you guys ran away from the organization. Or you supported a candidate that didn't win, you walked away. You cannot walk away. It is a process. It is an event. I mean, it's not an event. It's a process. It takes time. Come on board. I'll give one the 5 seconds. Thank you.
I knew you were going to throw jabs.
I did.
Dr. Pearson, we want to start tomorrow to fix the legislature. What do we do?
Thank you, Dennis. Look, let me tell you this story. When you go in the village and you see a slim man beating a well-muscled man in a hut, it's because the muscle man feels guilty. He has been caught maybe with the wife of the slim, linky man who is beating him up in the house. That muscle man will not respond, right? Listen, election has consequences.
I don't know what the parole man they said.
Majority of the pastors and the bishops.
He's learning.
Majority of the pastors, the bishops, the NGOs, the civil society organization you see in Liberia today, all were behind the bandwagon of the rescue mission. The majority of them were behind the bandwagon. And let me say this to
People
you.
that were not in Fala, that were not rescue people.
Listen. You getting me? The president appointing bishop to the committees now, not as advisor, but as executors. So when the government is failing, they can come by and criticize the very government that they serve in on committees as bishop and chairman. Whenever you saw Marco Francis serve on any committee from the president and come by and say the president is not doing well, you know, the civil society should be a neutral body. That's why even in the funding of the civil society, they shouldn't take money from government. Our soup, our sim, our prosa, the beginner shouldn't be taking money from politicians. They should be sponsored and promoted by us who want to see change from a neutral perspective. If we sit back and the politicians put the money in the children's pocket and bought the t-shirts and bought the red beret, they will sing the money, they will sing the praise.
I absolutely agree with you.
Now let me move one step further. Now the quick fix. There can be a voluntary quick fix, and tomorrow morning we wake up in Liberia on a new trajectory. If President Boyka wakes up tomorrow morning and said, my commitment to the Liberian people from my campaign, I'm going to live up to it. It will be like when we woke up that morning, we saw he's dismissed all the people who didn't declare the asset. Everybody started running helter-skelter to declare the asset. If President Boyka wakes up tomorrow morning and he said, a justice minister said that what the Supreme Court said was wrong and the justice minister misled me, he is hereby dismissed. And my Bushi Ben Keita, my legal advisor, who also misled me, you are hereby dismissed. My how you call him, Grisby, who took money from what they call it, NAFCO, he is hereby dismissed. Now, people, there will be a whole new Liberia tomorrow morning. If the president woke up on his good side tomorrow morning and said LTA, the guy who said now there with the other report that showed that they have the hand in corruption, you are hereby dismissed. There will be a whole new Liberia tomorrow. But President Boyka is condoning everything that is going wrong in the country. And because he's condoning it, our country is going to go downhill. If President Boyka cannot wake up, then we have to live with the consequence of our we agree vote. That we agree vote we did, we got to wait until 2029, and we'll go by and disagree with him and vote him out and put Mr. Cummings in office to come and take the country to the next level. That's the quick fix I see there.
Thank you. Thank you. And talking about, Bishop Markov, Parker Francis, and all these people, Bishop George D. Brown, and all these people who stood up and were never compromised. Well, under President Weah, and now the situation changed. We didn't need those bishops again because President Weah himself was a bishop, right? Prince Johnson himself was a bishop. So instead of looking at these people now, I mean, this man had his monastery. So what else? So why do we need Michael Parker Francis anymore? So that's the difference, Dr. Pearson. The politicians themselves now, they became the bishops, they became the archbishop, they became everything. So there was no need to even, I mean, if President Weah wanted to do Holy Communion, he's not going to, though they were forced to go to, but President Weah himself will administer the Holy Communion, right? Prince Johnson himself will condemn, will even appoint people and anoint them for service. So they no longer needed pastors. I just wanted to make that clear.
Then we need clergymen.
What you say?
I said the Christian community through the Liberian Council of Churches, the interfaith, body, all of those bodies are powerful bodies in our country. And let me just break this to you. No, let me just break this to you. I'm hearing that my colleagues in Liberia, the Liberian Council of Churches, the interfaith movement, they are all recalibrating and to get engaged in the Liberian politics.
Because the two
that would be hard. They're all on board. How is that going to happen? Most of them,
right.
not
The
all of them,
two
most of them
political
are
pastors are no longer there.
Yeah.
The late Prince Johnson is dead, and President Weah is not going to church anymore because he's not in power. So he's not preaching anymore. Have you heard any sermon from him lately? But as long as I spoke to a long
He's
time.
not preaching, but he's still dancing.
Well, here's what I agree with
gospel
Dr.
artist,
Pearson.
I spoke to an artist yesterday. He said, "President, we have destroyed the music industry because he started singing. Like people
Man.
have to follow. So when they saw the president himself singing, I mean, who can sing better than the president?
You want to go to jail?
And then he was not promoting his music. He was not selling his music. So he spoiled the price. Mohammed, let me hear from you. As of tomorrow, what we're gonna do?
There's a new release, or you heard a new release from President?
No,
William?
please.
Do you know your Bible story? There's a new release. They call it, "Do you know your Bible story?"
He's not in power again, so people are not going to watch that much. Because when he was in power, when he fall down in the spirit, then Carrasco tell people, "You fall down, you didn't see the president," and everybody falls.
So Dennis, one of the things that didn't happen after the Civil War was a change in the 1986 Constitution. So Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had the opportunity, didn't exercise, didn't muster the leadership. I mean, she has partial responsibility. Members of the legislature have some responsibilities. The Liberian people have some responsibilities. The citizenry, the voters have some responsibilities in that. So in a way, a lot of parties, a lot of individuals have parts to play in that. Right after the Civil War, usually after conflict is when you settle down and make changes, make amends. So you question yourself. If you're an objective analyst, you question yourself, what was the reason for all the death and devastation? If nothing changed, if what the military junta gave us in 1986 is what we still have largely intact, so what are these guys doing? So it makes you wonder, what was all this about? Charles Taylor, why did you do all of this? Prince Johnson, why did you do all of this? What was all this about now? You still have the same law intact from 86. I thought Ellen Johnson now would have said, okay, this presidential term is too long. 6 years. And she opposed Doe. So she was anti-Doe. 6 years is too long. So an anti-Doe will come in and say, you know what? This 6 years is too long. We're going to go back to 4 years. Back in time, it was 2 years. Somebody move it up to 4 years.
Mr. Cherry, let me bring in one more caller because we are almost to close.
Okay. All right.
Call out your name and where you calling from. Hello. Go ahead. You're live.
Yeah, Mr. John, it's formal calling. I've been listening to this. To the panelists making some arguments. Especially Dr. Pearson just made me laugh. And he's talking about we don't have religious people. The president appointed them. Look, the president is doing well. I will continue to tell people what the president has done in 2 years' time. Joe, did not even do that in 6 years' time. And now, Mr. Nagbe talking about ULA. We shouldn't rely on ULA. ULA is a failed organization in America here. And I keep saying it, and I will continue to say it. They are dysfunctional. They don't even. I don't even know.
You keep saying it. What does that do for you, Femo? If you keep saying it, what does that do for you? If you keep saying it, you say you keep saying it. What does that do for you?
Wait now.
No, I want you to answer that. Don't tell me wait now. I want you to answer that. What does that do for you?
Go ahead, Flomo.
The same way you criticizing the government, what have you done? What have you done to improve? What are some recommendation? What are you doing? Don't sit on the side, just criticize.
I say it here every night. I make my recommendations here every night. You listen to me. You know what I said.
Hold on, Victor.
Right?
Let me
You
finish.
hear my recommendations
We're out of time.
Let me get my 1 minute. I only got 1 minute.
Yeah.
I keep asking the same question. I'll continue to ask. What have you done to improve the people of Liberia? You guys were sitting here, were willing to take the money from Natina McGay, from the Liberian people here. And now they say you go and do development. Then you open the library.
Come to the. We'll put you in the ULA chat room so you can get all the answers you're looking for.
They don't have the answer because I don't see it. I just talk when you
No,
when they put in the comment.
I will put you in the Eula chat room.
Mr. Jah, please don't do that because I'll remove myself from there.
Oh.
I've been there before. But Mr. Jah, they said I live in the guy you that branch here. I know how they dysfunctional here. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, gentlemen, let's close. Mohammed, you go first.
Yeah.
We want to wrap it up now with solution and the way forward.
Yeah. So one of the things I had thought that would have been a solution by now is that that there needs to first be a serious effort to look at the presidential and legislature term of office. A lot of us don't even look at those. But I believe, me personally, that the frequency of elections is a way of holding these people accountable as well. So they're not sitting there comfortably for 9 years. You know what 9 years is? 2 terms of a senator is equivalent to a child being born today and graduate from high school. That senator is still sitting there. Look at Prince Johnson. He was there for 27 years. He had 3 terms, something like that. Probably died in his 3rd term. So we don't need that. What is this absurd? It's very absurd. This absurd term of 9 years. You don't see that anywhere else. The military did that for a reason. 6 years for president is too long. So let's start from there. 6 years for members of the House of Representatives is too long. So somebody talk about, I think Jay Victor talk about, the collective citizenry. So maybe let's start with those baby steps. Let's start from there with probably a legal challenge to this law by the citizens. Let's commit ourselves to that. I do believe in that. So if each and every one of us take a piece of the pie and say, this is what I focus on, just like Ivan Teach Jalo did. So maybe we'll get somewhere. So for me, it's not a total lost cause. I think that we can do something like that. So if you take these baby steps where the guys are not really intimidated, then maybe you can get somewhere. But even with that, it's a massive, massive challenge. It's a massive challenge.
Thank you. I mean, we can start with the Constitution, right? Mr. Morris Ellis, go ahead. You're closing.
All right. Thank you, Mr. John. Thank you for having me tonight. Look, I think that one of the things we have to do is to have more, advocates, groups that can actually get the people out there and put this government feet to the fire. Talking on these online shows is good if we get to intellectualize these things, but let's have actual actions on the ground. People who can be in the news day in and day out, advocating for changes in government. And for me personally, I think one of the things that's needed and necessary is we have to strengthen these agencies, like Mr. Sharif was just saying. Take away some of these undue influences from our lawmakers and people in the judiciary so that they can be protected. And then God willing, because now it's on that person's character to do the work without seeking bribe. Because sometimes even the opposite, the judges or these people will be the ones that go seek bribe from the executive. So put them in a position of power, give them protection from the executive so that they can effectively and through integrity do their job effectively for the Liberian people. And I think people who are advocates, the like of Henry Costa, who has sullied his reputation, but people who can come up now and really have a group of people who will listen to them, that can go and protest, that can make noise. Bello said, what did many say in Gabon? Make noise. Come on, make noise. When they capture him, we need people to make noise in Liberia. We need people to be active. People making noise. Let it be in the news. Let it be making the headlines. Let people be talking about it. And the legislature will start listening. Uncompromising people who won't be bought, from the advocacy. We need that. We in America can do it. They'll listen to us, but we need actual actions on the ground. People who can take 20, 30 people, behind them, or even 1,000 people behind them, and protest and tell the legislature they're doing wrong, and let us be talking about those people trying to make actual change, tangible change in the country. That's the immediate fix. The other fix about the constitutional change and civic education, I think that's going to take too long. But immediately, we need people who can put this government and the legislature feet to the
But
fire.
you see, these people party happen. They wherever they show some dollars, they go there. So you still have faith in those African. Let me go to Pastor Salif. You're closing.
Thank you, Mr. Jah. I know during the course of the show, my colleague, Dr. Pearson, always wanted to lay the blame of the dysfunction of the Liberian legislature on President Bouaka. We all know my stance on this show. I can't do that. It's going to be unfair. Bouaka is not responsible for the dysfunction in the Liberian legislature. There are three co-equal branches of government with separation of power for accountability. The legislature had decided to relinquish their power to the executive. The executive is not having undue influence on the legislature willfully. The legislature willfully decided to relinquish their power because they don't know why they are in the House. Under a typical democracy, the president should be the one lobbying the legislature to get things passed, to get things done. In Liberia, it's the other way. The legislature will all that power, inherent power from the Constitution that can stop Mr. President. Nope, we're not doing this unless this is done, unless this is done. They decide to go and bow down to the president to do foolishness, and now they've already lost control of their own power. The House is rotten. They make more money than they make laws. They have seen the legislature as a marketplace to just go and make money. There are people in the legislature who don't belong there, and the reason for that is because we do not have a thriving public sector. There are some. If we had a thriving public sector, if we had companies, if we had
Private sector.
Private sector are creating jobs and employment. There are people who even want to go to the government. They will want to stay, run their private life and make money. But we're not saying that. So right now, everybody feels the only source of employment is government. That's why everybody is going there. Those are the things that need to be changed. So the government now is just like that rotten moment that's attracting all the flies. We got to change that. But some of these things, I agree with my colleague, we can do some baby steps. But if we want genuine lasting change, we got to start projecting 10 years, 15, 20, 25 years down the road and start doing the work. What can we do 30 years from now to change the landscape of Liberian politics? We got to start investing in the children. Just like the Roman Catholic Church will say, give me a child and I will train him to be a forever Catholic. Let us start to take on the Liberian children. Those toddlers that are learning to talk, go there and start educating them, giving civic education, public awareness, and these things, and we can change Liberia over the course of time. But a quick fix is not going to cut it.
That what the Catholic Church did on Mr. Namu, why are you laughing?
It touched a nerve.
SC, I want you to tell me which one you like better, women with dry red, women with cassava, or women with farina.
Yes, and yes. All the above.
Mr. Nambe, Wallace, I should ask you what you like done to make one thing Eula can do better. I'm not going to ask you now. I'm inviting Eula to come right here and focus on Liberia. So we
give us a time and a day. We'll be here because I see the public is misinformed about the workings of Eula.
Yeah,
We've been doing so much to create change. And instead of criticizing, come and join the team and bring your ideas on how we can make it better.
And I will start off by agreeing with ST.
That was not for you to respond. I want to go to Dr. Pearson. I'm saying,
Victor, the man is against you today. Dennis is against you.
Get your schedule. I'm inviting you on Focus on Liberia so we can discuss that. And Wallow and Flomo will all be here to ask.
We'll take it to Mr. President Keita.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you to all of my fellow panelists and the active participants in the audience there. Listen, Dennis, you like me when you're from the village, when the hen is crying in the town, in the village, and all the chicks are running around, you don't go chase the chicks and grab the hen to put in basket. You look for the snake that is in the community because there's a snake in the town that causing the hen to cry for her chicks.
There's a job that give you run for your money for the parables.
Yeah. So what is happening in the legislature right now? Is that there's a snake in the legislature, and the snake there is Joseph Human Bouaka. And because the snake has been unleashed in the House of Legislature, the whole place is in disarray. If I remind you all, President Bouaka put the cutting down of terms of the legislature and the presidency, President Walker campaigned against it. If I remind you, right now, Abachi has that very bill on that floor again in the Senate. Normally, then they are dodging it because they're looking to becoming president tomorrow. And let me leave that. Somebody say, oh, let the people make noise. We all know when the people got vexed with the legislature, they say, let's work there to protect the rule of law. We saw President Walker, he unleashed the police force, they tear gas them, they harass them and brutalize them and put them in jail, while President Walker was taking stroll from the mansion to the Capitol building to go sign book of condolence while his citizens were being manhandled. And then I will close on this one. Somebody say, you know what, but you know what happened there? What do we do now? Look, America right here, Mr. Salif. I close on you, Mr. Salif. I close on you. President Biden was in office. The legislature was under some level of control. They could tell Biden no on some things. The Supreme Court could tell Biden no on some things. The issue about the waiver of our student debt is one example. Other things. Today you have another president who is a bad president in office, and I'm not messing my words. They can look for me tomorrow. I got my paper correct. They got a bad president in the White House right now, and you see everything has gone helter skelter. The snake is released in the hands house. To solve that problem in legislature, President Walker needs to wake up, understand that he's damaging the country, and should pull back out of there and let the legitimate House Speaker and the members solve their problems from status quo ante. That's my position for tonight.
Yeah, but we're saying the same thing, Dr.
Yes.
We're saying the same thing. Anyway, go ahead.
So, Dennis, thank you very much. Thank you, guys. First of all, let me let Wallo know, Dennis, you cannot make me to say anything. You can ask me, and I will say something. He needs to understand that. Let me address Flomo. Flomo has a point, right? Look, we have a lot of us. ST has also said it. We are all aware that Yola has lost a lot of credibility over the years. We get that. But come and join us. Come and join us. Let us be the change that we want Yola to be. Come and join us. It's not enough. We already get it. But come and join us. Come and help us. That's what I got to say about that. But let me say this. Look, Dr. Pearson made a point in passing, which is our reality. I tell you this, when I was a community organizer for the United People's Party, I lived in Fiamma. I was going to Tubman High School, 12th Street. A bunch of for the Lisa Misagwa, Edo T. Fale in Monrovia. We walked. You understand me? And then after school, we walk on Broad Street to go to the UPP office. After that, our friend Smith Kume lived in Point 4. We go Billiman, Newcroton, all those places. We walked and they parted away. Today, you go to Monrovia, you invite people for a meeting, you got to pay their way. You got to get them cold water. The monetization of politics in Liberia is dangerous. You know, he was talking about civil society organization. The reason why most of these organizations are tongue-tied is because most of them are eating out of the hands of the government. So I invite Mr. Flomo, I invite Mr. Wallo, come and help us make Yola strong. We can raise money and help some of these civil society organizations so that they can stay on their own 2 feet and stop looking up to the government so that they will find their voices. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, for tonight. I want to thank our viewers, those who watch and even those who will watch later. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Till then, we close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night, and may God richly bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.